more overreactions with Lewis and Clark here. Ryan, Lewis and Clark.
Clark and Lewis?
Yeah. All right, anyway, I digress. We talked about New England. We said before, if there was any team that could get things figured out, and particularly on the defensive side of the ball, it would be the Patriots, and perhaps they have. Here's the statement. The Patriots defense, Lewis, has figured it out. Is it an overreaction or not an overreaction?
It's not an overreaction. I think less is more for them, particularly in the secondary, Wendy. Stephon Gilmore, although he's injured right now, and Eric Rowe, those two guys not being in the lineup has helped them tremendously. Why? Some of the guys who have replaced them are not quite as talented. Johnson Bademosi is not as talented as those two guys are. I believe it's John Jones, is not as talented as those two guys are. But these guys play to the integrity of the defense. They play the call the way it's supposed to be played. They play it fast, they play it physical, and they communicate. And those are the kind of things that you knew it was going to take for them to figure this defense out as far as, or rather figure out opposing offenses and then actually execute the way they need to execute here. And I think that is something that's going to carry them through the rest of the season. I wouldn't be surprised if you see those two guys, Rowe and Gilmore, not play very much the rest of the year. That's a big statement because Gilmore is making a lot of money.
But Bill Belichick doesn't
exactly
care. Do your job.
This is an overreaction.
What? So you don't think they've worked out the kinks?
Because when Stephon Gilmore gets back, he is going to play. And they're going to have to figure out a way to get him to communicate, a way to get the other guys to flow and play along with him. A lot of the things they were doing when Stephon Gilmore was in there was because of the talent level they felt like they had with Rowe and Stephon Gilmore. So Matt Patricia, when they come back, when he does start to play, they're going to have to figure out a way to keep themselves from doing those things, keep themselves from extending this defense and putting this defense in bad situation because of the perceived talent level. I don't think they figured this thing out yet. I think they have some issues. You saw some big plays called back yesterday for the Los Angeles Chargers. This thing is not done yet, Lou. It's not a wrap. They don't fully have it going.
It's figured out.
Listen, it's Bill Belichick. He's my guy. I love him. No, I'm not letting you do that.
Do your job. I'm telling he will play who gets it done, though. Come on, Lou.
He's got to figure it out.
He don't have it figured out.
You don't think so? Well, we'll see. You know, the good thing is we got 8 games to go in the regular season. Time will tell. We also have some additional news right now. Jamison Hensley, our Ravens reporter, reporting this on the Ravens, I believe. This is from the head coach, an update on Joe Flacco, and a good chance that we will see him play on Sunday. I can't see it because I'm blind. But as they move it closer, there we go. Now I can see it. Here we go. Ravens coach John Harbaugh on Flacco. I think there's a good chance he'll play. This is against Tennessee. He's been in the facility every day since suffering the concussion in Thursday's blowout win over the Miami Dolphins. So we've been wondering and watching, and now an update on Flacco.
Look, I'm one of those guys who's a Flacco supporter, and I've taken a lot of heat for that. I think the better that the weapons surrounding Joe Flacco are, the better he is. And the better this defense plays, the better the running game. The running game looked fantastic, didn't it, against the Miami Dolphins? It's amazing how this offense rolls when they start running the football. And Joe, look, speedy recovery, my man, because I think Baltimore Ravens are a team that I don't know if they're one of those guys who can make that can make a run here at the end of the year, but I think they're going to break some teams' hearts if you wind up taking them too lightly.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. And Joe Flacco is exactly what Lou said. When the running game gets going, Joe Flacco is a guy that can get in the play-action pass game and push the ball downfield to guys like Mike Wallace and Jeremy Maclin. And that's what you have to do if you're this team. Don't worry about the money you're paying him to make him play and call games like a franchise quarterback. Play behind your defense and running game. They need Flacco back going forward, and they'll be tough to beat down the stretch.
Again, it seems likely, according to his head coach, he will play. Jets running back Matt Forte among those who have been rumored to be available, or at least that was the case in late summer. The NFL's trade deadline quickly approaching. It is tomorrow. And now that the Jets' surprising start has turned ugly, Forte questioned the play calling after their loss to the Falcons at a rain-soaked MetLife Stadium. Well, Adam Schefter in our Domino's pregame headquarters. Now we are 24 hours away from the deadline. Adam, I'll ask you, what is the Jets' position on Forte now?
Wendy, I think it's difficult to come up with a trade partner for Matt Forte because there aren't a lot of teams out there who are willing to take on that contract. Matt Forte's been productive this year. He can still play in this league. But how many teams are willing to trade some form of compensation for a running back who's scheduled to make about $4 million this year? Most teams are unwilling to do that. You'd have to find a contender who has a need at the position. Those don't seem to exist. And so the sense right now that I would get is that Forte is not dealt, and he does remain, but there is about 24 hours left until the trade deadline. We'll see if the Jets can find a partner. I think it would be surprising.
Adam, any other trade talk to update with the deadline approaching? Again, as we mentioned, it is tomorrow.
I think we're going to start with Calvin Johnson here, Wendy. It's a long shot still, but it is an intriguing name to watch. And it's a situation here where the Lions have received a couple of inquiries about trading his draft rights. Now, Calvin Johnson's been non-committal, so he really has not given an indication that he's willing to play. But if there is a team out there and a coach out there who would call him, recruit him, convince him, it wouldn't be completely out of the question that maybe he could convince Calvin Johnson to come back, but it does remain a long shot. Dwayne Brown, not a long shot to be traded. The Texans have had talks. They've spoken to the Seahawks, amongst other teams. The Eagles have inquired as well. So there is some interest in Dwayne Brown out there. We'll see if Houston can get anything done. Seattle needs to upgrade its offensive line. It would appear to be a logical destination, a logical spot, but still, Houston knows that Dwayne Brown is still a Pro Bowl talent and is not just going to give him away. Houston wouldn't trade him unless it feels it gets fair value in return.
Adam Schefter, thank you. A busy 24 hours for a year, no question. The Eagles just keep rolling along 7-1 with both sides of the ball. Clicking, are they the NFL's best team? We'll talk about that next.
The Pregame HQ is brought to you by Domino's. Are you set for the game? Get ready for kickoff and order now at Domino's.com. The pregame starts here. Domino's is brought to you by Bridgestone. Bridgestone's clutch performance drive guard tires can take a puncture and keep going for up to 50 miles.
Carson Wentz, our clutch performer this week, not asked to do all that much with his team grabbing a 17-0 halftime lead yesterday. The Wentz raised his touchdown passes total to 19, tied for most in the league. He threw for 211 yards and 2 touchdowns. His team's blowout win over the 49ers, which brings us to our final overreaction on this Monday. Listen, talk about clutch performer. His team is 7-1. That's probably the only number he's worried about. Here's our statement. The Eagles are the best team in the NFL.
This is not an overreaction. This is a team I didn't think could stop the big play on defense outside of the numbers. That was the thing I was worried most about this team. They play high quality special team. The defense has found ways to make plays at the cornerback position, and we already know about their quarterback and this offense. They're doing great things, and they are making every important play in situational football. And when you can do that, because that's what NFL games come down to, you have an opportunity to win games. That's why this team is 7-1. That's why Carson Wentz is an MVP candidate, and I'm excited to see what happens with them and the NFC East down the stretch.
I think it's still an overreaction. I think we'll see. They're in the mix. The best team in the NFL?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, on any given Sunday, they lost to the Kansas City Chiefs. Could the Pittsburgh Steelers beat them?
Right,
yeah, I think they could.
You know, you got to have a better team.
That's not how.
Yeah, they could. Have they played the Los Angeles Rams? No, they haven't. Have they played a team that really stretched them? Have they played a team that really? What are we saying, that the San Francisco 49ers stretched them outside the numbers yesterday? I mean, really? Is that what we're saying, that they've answered that question now?
Lewis, why won't you disagree with me on
so
TV?
They're not. We'll see, though. We'll see. I think they're. I think they are the best team in the NFC. They're in the top tier in the NFC for sure, and they're in the top 3 in the NFL. We'll see.
But you're just saying overreaction that they're the top team in the NFL.
Yeah, I do.
And I will agree with Lewis. It's an overreaction. Sorry, Rod. Okay.
You always agree.
Yeah, well, in this particular case, the Eagles are amongst the best teams in the NFL. And for whatever it's worth, I got no problem saying they may be the best team in the NFL at the end of the season. They got a chance. But, again, as you mentioned, a lot of teams out there, some questions still.
Hey, parity reigns
Philadelphia
right
should
now.
be very excited.
They don't care one bit.
Philadelphia should be very excited.
The Eagles, they want to be the best team in February. They don't care about being the best team right now.
I just want to see a team stress their corners outside. Let's just see.
Fair enough. ESPN Panthers reporter David Newton with press coverage this afternoon. Panthers tight end Greg Olsen targeted to be back for the November 26th game against the New York Jets. He has 4 weeks on the field beginning this week to test the foot that was broken in week 2. If I didn't play this year, I would be surprised. That is from Greg Olsen. So many good things to see week 8, but we have something you need to hear. Sounds of the week next on NFL Live.
I suck. That's the bottom line. I suck.
Is that a style you like, the team prefers?
Well, we prefer to win.
a fantasy show.
I mean, no offense to Superman, but Watson's so good, he even won over Lex Luthor to his side after 1 week. You know, we talked on the show last week that this Sunday would be the first big test for Watson on the road against that Seattle defense. Like, what would the Texans rookie do in such a tough matchup? The clear answer? Be awesome. 32.8 fantasy points, his 5th consecutive game with more than 20 fantasy points. His vision, like his mobility, like he has the most passing touchdowns in players' first 7 games in NFL history. He's been a top 2 fantasy quarterback each of his last 4 games. He is, without question, a set-it-and-forget-it fantasy starter no matter who he's playing or where he's playing.
Tonight after Monday Night Football, SportsCenter with Scott Van Pelt. Post-game breakdown of the AFC West matchup. Of course, we've got the Broncos and Chiefs tonight. Scott will talk with Notre Dame head coach Brian Kelly on the eve of the first college football playoff rankings and highlights and insights from the first Warriors-Clippers matchup of the season. SportsCenter at night also available on the ESPN app. Right now, though, here are the sounds of Week 8.
I'm not going to allow nobody to, play Debbie Downer for us. At the end of the day, it's a lot of teams that wish they was 5-3.
We got to be fast. Tom said you got to pick up a Halloween costume, so won't got time to waste.
My wife picked something out, so I don't want to give it away.
Right, yeah. No, I mean, I'm a big soccer fan now.
Takes the snap. He's going to look downfield. He's going to throw. Jimmy Graham. Touchdown, Seahawks.
That was a fun one to play in, that's for sure.
That was some of the hardest conditions I played in, just for the length of the game.
When you make too many mistakes, like we did today, you're not going to give yourself a chance to win.
0-8, so 8. So 8, so 8.
Seahawks, they played a good game. They beat us. I play football for a living.
I suck. That's the bottom line. I suck.
100% confidence in Mark, you know what I'm saying?
Ben believed in me. I got the job done, so it was good.
On a dead run. That is Smith-Schuster.
Calm down a little bit, will you? Take it easy. You okay? You all right? Did you just lose the game? It hurts. That's 3 games that we feel like we should have won.
Support my players 100%. I love my players.
We came up short. We're on the short end of the stick again.
We're laughing at you.
Okay. Oh, not you, Lisa.
Never fails to deliver. But we've got one more game before we put a bow on Week 8, if you will. The Chiefs and Broncos. And Adam, what's
Well, a
leave
couple
us with
things.
something.
The Chiefs haven't played in 11 days, so they had a mini sort of bye week, and I was told they had a great week of practice, great energy. The Denver Broncos in a peculiar place, 3-3. They win tonight's game, maybe they become a buyer at the trade deadline. They lose tonight's game, maybe they become a seller.
The Chiefs with a blistering start, Lewis, and they have back-to-back losses, then the 11-day layoff, as Adam talked about. So where does that leave them tonight, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think that came right on time. Andy knows how to manage bye weeks as well as anyone. If you ask him, he sometimes says, I don't really know what my secret is. I just know that we've had some success coming out of the bye. I think they needed to get healthy. I think this is a team that's destined to go on a run right here. I think they're going to steamroll the Broncos tonight. I think they'll be a much healthier team, a much fresher team mentally. 31-10, that's what I'm picking.
31-10 Chiefs.
Kansas
Ryan Clark.
City Chiefs, 24-20. I think this is the week they get back on track, and Denver is the right opponent for them to do that. They're going to rush the passer, get after Trevor Siemian. They're going to do the things on offense that they can do to confuse the Denver Broncos. 24-20, the Chiefs get back on track.
I try to avoid the clean sweep, but I cannot help you boys tonight.
You gave it away with your close
I gave
again.
it away, 21-17 Chiefs. I think we'll likely see more points, but nevertheless, I think Kansas City gets back on track. They will not make it 3 losses in a row. We'll be back. I know, right? That's the ultimate jinx. Yeah, they got 2, 3. Highly questionable is next. We're back tomorrow.